Happy Good Friday to you. TGIF. For some of you, as I said yesterday, if you are a black preacher in America, Friday is also known as our Wednesday. I mean, and unlike you, how you look forward to Friday because Friday everything gets better. For black preachers, it's rough because that Friday's glaring at you. That's that Sunday, and the people want a word. No room for slipping. Glad to glad to be with each of you this morning, coming to you live from the city of Philadelphia, city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. Sometimes. Broadcasting to you live from WURD Radio. That's right, WURD Radio. And we are so delighted that you have decided to be here with us on this morning, waiting for my partner in crime on today. But until he gets here on the Power Hour,
can you hear me?
We will. Oh, there you are.
I'm here.
Yeah, there you go. Couldn't see you. I can't see you. I just can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Got to get that video fixed up so people on Facebook Live can see you, see what T-shirt you're wearing, what sweatshirt you're wearing this morning.
I'm wearing my Iota Phi Theta sweatshirt. Let folk know I rep Iota Phi Theta all day, every day, 24/7 hours, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Till the wheels come off, huh?
Right.
Yeah, all right. That person who's representing Iota is none other than Bishop Dwayne David Royster.
And the one over there wearing the Howard University sweatshirt, but also a member of Alpha Phi Alpha, is the Reverend Dr. Mark Kelly Tyler.
Yep, and the pride of Sigma Gamma Rho. Since
Yes.
we're repping the Divine Nine, we got a third of the Divine Nine is here today. None other than Kawesa. What's up?
Good morning.
How you doing today?
Doing okay. I am so glad it's Friday, though, I tell you.
You are not the only one, although my weekend is crazy, but it is good to be on this Friday, getting ready to go into the weekend. How was your ride in today?
It was actually a breeze. It really wasn't bad. I got a little nervous at first because I was like, wait, there's a lot of cars here. But, once everything kind of thinned out, it was good. So, a little chillier today than it was yesterday, but it felt good to me. It didn't feel like there was a whole bunch of pollen in the air this morning at least, so that was a blessing. But yeah, everything was pretty easy, pretty smooth coming in, and there wasn't a whole lot of, knock on wood, traffic. So good luck out there, y'all, because it'll get worse later.
Temperature was cool today. How did it feel?
Yeah, it was nice. It wasn't too bad. I'm still repping kind of like this zip up, hoodie thing. So. Yeah. I think that, we're starting to get outside of the window of that pneumonia weather. So I think that I'm good.
It swings hard.
It does.
You can have a 40-degree swing in the course of a day. That's a lot.
It is. You're right.
That's a lot. I'm not knocking. I think we are going to get to an eventual end of it, but that's a hard swing. So.
It is that time of the year. It's snowing in the New England states this morning, right now. But tomorrow it'll be in the 60s up there.
I got you.
Yeah. So listen, folks. Kawesa suffers for you all. She does all that driving in that weather, just so you'll know the temperature and the traffic.
But she's able to bring that to us each morning live from experience, not looking through a camera as some folk do, but she's actually in the midst of it all. So we deeply appreciate you making that journey, coming all the way in, holding down in the studio for us and helping us get this show together every day.
So listen, boy, I tell you, another day. Well, first of all, let me just say this. If you're on Facebook Live, hit the share button and bring others in. Facebook Live is a great way to get your comments in. We only have a 1 hour show, so it's hard to take callers and also have two hosts and all the other stuff that we do. But we really appreciate your interaction on Facebook Live or on YouTube Live. Both are active this morning. And so please post your thoughts, your comments, your questions there. And we will try our best to read them and shout you out as well. So, yeah, another day and another mass shooting.
Yep.
But,
another day, another mass shooting, another day, another police video comes out of a kid getting shot, 13-year-old. Yeah, so that's the world we're living in right now.
Well, good thing for the people who in Indianapolis and FedEx that, guns don't kill people. People do, right?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sure that helps them sleep better tonight.
Shout out to all of our people in Indy. We have organizations in Indianapolis that are they're working on this very issue, right? Working on trying to prevent gun violence. And this is a hard one.
Well, listen, as I always say, I'm a gun owner, and but I'd be more than happy to, if we got to a place of a detente, so to speak, where we can all just like beat our weapons into plowshares and move on, be the first in line. It's just, what kind of world do we have where you have to have that? Well, the answer is right before us. But another case of a person who seems to have gone in there with the intention of not coming out alive, kills 8 people, injures 6 others who are fighting for their lives, and I think 6 others, and then kills himself, which begs the question, couldn't you have saved us all the pain?
Wow. Well, that's a deep question.
Yeah, I don't advocate suicide, but I'm like, but bro, if you were going to do that, what is the point in going to and ruining the lives of all these other people if that's what you were going to do anyway?
Right. The latest report I read, they're still trying to figure out what relationship the gunman had to the FedEx facility. So there's still some question even about that. And I'm sure there'll be question about how he got in.
Probably a disgruntled employee. What else could it could be something else, but these days, if something so random as a FedEx facility in the middle of the night, where it's just the employees in there, typically, I just don't, I don't think I'll ever understand this. Violence is hard enough to understand, but you kind of can, a lot of this you can get, even if you may not have actually even lived that experience, but you can somewhat understand it. But this is one that just never makes sense. The randomness of it. And so anyway, it's just, prayers for those folk who were there. But, when they talk about what happens in D.C. related to gun laws, don't worry. It's not going to change anything. Not if
Sandy Hook didn't do it.
Thank you. If a bunch of kindergartners or first graders never making it to see second and third grade doesn't do it for you, nothing will.
Nope.
And those are white kids.
Yep. Sandy Hook Elementary School.
And that literally led to no change.
Nothing. That was as equally heartbreaking because it's like it just showed the cold heart of America. I remember Charlton Heston, when he was the president of the NRA, at one of their rallies, he stood up with it was basically a long rifle in his arm, and he said they would take this out of my cold, dead hands. And just thinking about the fact that you're more concerned about taking a long rifle out of your cold, dead hands than you are about a child being killed who hasn't had a chance to live 80 years. Charlton Heston was old by the time he was the president of NRA. So I think that's deeply tragic, and I think it also just shows the evil and sinisterness that sometimes the American government can be.
Yeah. Well,
I think I just made a word up, but anyway.
It's about that money. It's about the money, bro.
Yes, sir.
NRA has dumped a bunch of cash into the pockets of a lot of people.
But it broke now.
So, yeah, well. Well, the gun makers are not.
No, their gun sales are at the highest that they've ever been because people are petrified since Biden came into office.
Yeah, of course. It's always, look, man.
When Obama came in, Same thing happened.
Right. And when Trump came in, the same thing happened. So when Trump came in, it's like, you got to get more guns because they're going to try to get him out of there. Trump leads, got to get more guns. It's like, oh my God, it's the biggest shell game ever.
Yeah, it's really tragic and painful. It's just so unnecessary.
Yeah, I know. So, so you mentioned, neighboring, not quite neighboring, but as far as big cities are concerned, neighboring Chicagoland,
Yeah.
not too far from Indianapolis, for those who've never been to either place, right up the road, and about an hour and a half, 2 hours up, getting into the Chi. Yesterday, they released the video of the officer-involved shooting where a police officer shot and killed a 13-year-old Adam Toledo. First and foremost, certainly praying for his family, that 13-year-old who was killed. This is the story is being compared to Laquan McDonald, but I don't quite know why.
Well, Laquan McDonald, I think, didn't he have a knife on him?
Yeah, but I mean, see, so we're in a weird place now, where anytime there's a police-involved shooting, and mind you, look, I mean, I'm one of the most outspoken critics of policing, not only in Philadelphia, but, pretty much across the country. And so I'm not speaking about this as a person who's like just out here trying to like rep and defend the police officers. But I saw the video. It's hard to watch. I mean, it's hard to watch anybody get killed. It's definitely hard to watch a 13-year-old's last moments. And it's something that you can't unwatch after you've seen it. The 13-year-old was allegedly with a 21-year-old at the time. They have put together a timeline, a video timeline, where they're never out of view because of multiple camera angles. COPA, the version of what we are trying to do here in Philadelphia, CPOC, the new Police Oversight Commission, they are actually in charge. Remember, we had Sydney Roberts, who's the director of COPA. She was on one of our town halls for Power Live Free last year. And so in cases like this, their police oversight board gets the body cam footage first, and it's their decision to release it. And so they have a lot of power, what happens. And they've actually sewn together a timeline. So Tawanda's asking, I wonder why it took so long for the story to hit the mainstream. So part of this may be, again, the way that they took the time to put this together. So there's an angle from one office building that shows them, and it kind of literally shows them walking before there's a shooting. What they show is allegedly the 21-year-old shooting 8 times on a corner. They have what's called a shot spotter in Chicago because there's so many shootings. I mean, you think Philly is bad, and it is. Multiply it by 10, and that's Chicago, right? And that's hard to believe. They then show them running away from there, and you hear the dispatch, 8 shots fired. Police are on the scene almost immediately, pull in, and the 2 start running. The allegation at this point is that the 21-year-old was the shooter and that he gave the 13-year-old the gun. The 13-year-old kept running, Adam Toledo, who's now being chased on foot by an officer telling him to stop, turn around, let me see your hands. This all happens from the time Toledo stops, spins around, and is shot. I tried to time it. It's like less than 5 seconds. And he clearly, you see the gun in his hands. I've heard activists saying his hands were up. I'm like, well, yeah, when you freeze the frame, but when you look at it in real time, there is no telling whether he is going. First of all, you can't tell that he's 13. You're running in a dark alley. You can't tell that when he spins around with the gun in his hand that he's about to raise it to bring it down. You just can't tell. It's a no-win situation. I got to believe that the person who shot him probably feels like everybody else in this moment. But I don't understand, I think that it's like our activism meets our desire for an end to violence in our community. and the two clash at this intersection of Adam Toledo.
Mm-hmm.
Because in Chicago, bodies drop every day.
Right.
And the people who are dropping are black and brown people.
Mm-hmm.
And we want something done about it. And here's a shooting that just happened on a corner. And then moments later, one of the people who's there, is confronted by police with a gun in a dark alley. And it happens like that. And I don't know I think sometimes the expectation of what we want, it just seems a bit unrealistic. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, so let me just, there were 17 body cam videos, 4 third-party videos, the police incident report, 1 officer radio transmission, and 2 911 calls, and 6 recordings from the spot shooter on this whole interaction. So part of the delay was they were trying to go through and put together the timeline about how this happened. So like you said, it was very quick that it happened. The interesting thing is that Mayor Laurie Lightfoot, who's the mayor of Chicago, said something that I think was very profound in this particular case. She said, "We all failed Adam Toledo." She didn't just blame the cop, but a 13-year-old out there with a 21-year-old, in this particular circumstance, there was a missing. They could not identify the body for several days, but the family had filed a missing person report, but they were not able to find him for some time as a result of that. So I just think that this is a tragic failure all the way around in terms of why was he out there with a 21-year-old with a gun? Why does that? And no, Tawana, it doesn't all warrant death. I'm not saying that it should warrant anybody's death, but that this was an epic failure on every hand, on the part of the family, on the part of the 21-year-old, because I'm sure the 21-year-old was thinking they're not going to shoot a kid, take the gun, and even if you get caught, you go to juvie, right. You don't wind up going to adult prison, right? And so the adult gets off. I mean, I'm sure that's what the adult was thinking. It was a failure on the part of the police. It was a failure on the part of the whole system that should have been supporting this young man.
Well, we got to take a break. It's 6:20. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation because people are calling for Laurie Lightfoot, the mayor of Chicago, to resign as a result. And I just think, again,
well, she got some other stuff, though. She's messed up.
Yeah, but they're talking about this specifically. The people who I'm listening to and these are like some progressive voices that I agree with a lot of the time, and I'm looking at their social media stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, again, like, man, it would be wonderful if everybody in the world were as perfect as them. But in a real world, in a real moment, a real person, even that police officer in that corner, in a city where you're not responding to a counterfeit check or counterfeit bill. You're responding to real shots fired, and you have very good intelligence, which turned out to be right, that the shots fired are coming from one of these two persons. All of that is a part of the story. You can't negate that. Mm-hmm. And you can't just simply lump this in with everything else because we're trying to make a narrative work. Because that's how movements get, tainted. Right. So I'm sorry, we got to take a quick break. It's 6:22. We'll be back on the other side to continue this conversation about the tragic killing of Adam Toledo, and again, praying for his family. Man, he's 13. Oh, boy, we'll be right back.
You probably heard it before, but one of the best ways to stay safe from COVID is by avoiding crowds. That's better. Also, when you're out in public, make sure you stay 6 feet away from strangers or people you don't live with. It's okay to say, "Can I have some space, please?"
Well, it's going to be a beautiful sunny day today, and we can expect much.
If you're going to have a get-together with friends and family, have it outside. And remember to keep those 6 feet of social distance. And last but not least, wear a mask that covers your nose and mouth with no gaps. They slow the spread of COVID or new forms of the virus called variants. And make sure you get your vaccine when it's your turn. We're all out here trying our best, and it's making a difference. We just got to keep it up. We can do this.
To learn more about slowing the spread, visit cdc.gov/stop. www.ncbi.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Small business owners are navigating an evolving small business landscape brought on by coronavirus. However, their resilience is reflected in Bank of America's 2020 Small Business Owner Report, a nationwide survey on 1,000 small business owners, which found that nearly 1/4 of small business owners took steps in 2020 to retool their offerings and/or leverage their resources to support relief efforts in their communities. While many saw an impact in their bottom line last year, small business owners anticipate a strong post-pandemic environment, and 79% believe small businesses will return to be the backbone of the U.S. economy. Inspired by the small business owners facing unprecedented challenges, Bank of America continues their commitment to help small business owners in Philadelphia with the necessary resources to sustain and grow. For more information, visit bankofamerica.com.
The Germantown Friends School mission begins with a commitment to community and to the belief that academic achievement is in itself not enough. Inspired by Quaker values, GFS encourages students in preschool through grade 12 to see the world as theirs to experience, to understand, to create, and to change. Learn more about the GFS academic, arts, and athletics programs at their upcoming virtual open house, Friday, April 16th, 9 a.m. Register now at germantownfriends.org/admissions.
Hi, this is Samantha from Leo's Apparel on Germantown and Lehigh Ave. Open from 9:30 to 5:30 Monday through Saturday. We have the hottest selection of boys' dress suits and casual sportswear for boys sizes 2T to 20. Men, let me tell you, we got in a large shipment of straws from Stetson. We have new linen and dress suits. Biggest selection of Stacy Adams shoes. Get an extra WURD 10% discount.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. This is Dwayne Royster along with Mark Kelly Tyler. We're here Monday through Fridays from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to bring you the latest in news, happenings around Philadelphia, and, of course, our opinions. And we have plenty of those.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As I was saying, as we went to break, I mean, I don't know, man. It's just sometimes it's like we're in such a place of extremes these days that it's hard for a person who tries to deal with reason and facts to find a place to call home. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, because the extremism sometimes is rooted in an ideology that's not always rooted in the real experience of people.
I saw a woman who was like leading some protests in Chicago, and she said, yeah, this is, at the press conference, this is just like, what's that other one? Yeah, Laquan McDonald. This is just like that. And I don't know if the family's here, but I'm going to tell you, that, because there's an agenda that she's got, right? I mean, I share her agenda about dismantling policing as we know it, the fact that it's killing us, the fact that it is oppressive, and all the things that we talk about every single day. But, my Lord, are we going to just ignore all the facts of this story? And somebody said you're out at 2:40 in the morning. Now you're asking, why is a 13-year-old being out there? I tell you all the time, it's by the grace of God that I'm here.
Right.
But,
right.
I mean, my brother and I can't tell you how many times we snuck out and were rolling as teenagers with adults. We didn't view them as adults, but I guess looking back on it now, yeah, they were in their early 20s.
Right.
As you know what? You groom the young ones to come and be, that's the future of thug life. Right? And like you said, it's like, I can give you the dope to hold, because if you get caught, then you're not going to do any time.
That's right. You're going to
This is not new. You won't even go to juvie. They're just going to give you a hearing. Your moms will come get you out. That's what happens. And so, I mean, look, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds kill in America. So it's like, don't act like somehow it's like this, like, again, it does not look like when you slow it down, like he had the intent on drawing his weapon on that officer. When you put it in absolute slow motion, but that's not how those events unfolded. Sadly, you know, he should have just dropped it, period, and thrown it away or whatever. But that's not what happened. But we are also, that is a city where teenagers of that age routinely kill people. And so I guess the question is, was the person supposed to wait to get shot first before you return? I don't understand. I don't know, man.
I mean, it's hard, right? I think it is definitively hard because I think our position is to want to defend the 13-year-old and to want to defend, you know, this child from being shot. And I totally hear what you're saying about the fact that this child's running around with a gun. And, you know, there's a lot happening in that particular moment in time. It's painful. Because at the same time, you know, you could imagine this being your child, or like you said, you'd imagine it being you. But then at the same time, you're like, we don't want 13-year-olds running around with guns. And we don't want them in the streets. We don't want 21-year-olds who are going to give guns to the 13-year-olds running around with guns either, you know, trying to protect themselves at the same time. I mean, I think, again, I would agree with the mayor. Everybody failed this kid, including that man that gave him the gun, you know, in the car. They all failed this child and wound up, you know, with him being shot dead. And I just don't, you know, it's messy. And, I mean, I think I'm so cautious in how I'm responding to this because I think it's too easy for folk that do not fully understand the complication of post-traumatic slavery disorder to be able to say, see, it's those black people, it's their problem, it's the brown people's problem, right? And it's not that in itself, it's a system that perpetuates this, that white folk want their guns, that allows folk to get guns that don't need to have guns in the first place.
So Craig says, as a young teen, there was no way I was sneaking out of the Williams family household. Nope, not possible. I know a lot of people say that. But Craig, so let me ask, was your dad in the house? And were you afraid of the consequences from him? Because a lot of, you know, what happens in a lot of cases is like in mine, that when boys get to a certain age, and if it's just your mom's there, tell you, man, it's hard for a mom to control, like, you know, growing teenage boys. You're going to do what you want to do.
Well, he lived with the grandfather, too. So he lived with several siblings, the mother and the grandfather. So
yeah, I mean, look, again, you know, I understand and appreciate everything people are saying, you know, about, you know, we tend to view these things from our own lens and our own perspective. So maybe that's why I'm feeling, you know, the way I'm feeling about it. And so Craig said, yes, he was a beast. That's his dad. So my father wasn't there during those years. He was in and out. And so my mom was a beast, but you know what? She's a mom. And boys try mamas, don't they?
Yeah, but my mom was 5'10".
Yeah, I hear you, bro. But just trust me.
That was a whole different story.
Yeah, I hear that.
Man, I'm like, oh.
I hear that, you know, but I'm just telling you right now that a lot of these cases, it is, I mean, so these are some complicated issues. And so the idea of like, well, why was he out there? I mean, on my block, that was kind of like everybody's story. Most of us raised by single parent moms. We grew up together in a group that became a gang. And, you know, once our parents went to sleep, we were out.
Yeah, I mean,
you're like, oh, how are they out? How their parents not know? Because they were asleep getting ready for work the next day.
You know, my brother, you know, Stone. So my father had a rule when we got to be older teenagers that you had to be in the house by midnight. And so my brother would get in at 11:55, and at 12:05 he went back out because he said it didn't say I had to stay in. You just said I had to be in by midnight. No, dude, he used to do this, right?
That's my guy.
So
that's some serious reasoning.
So he would get in at 11:55. He would stay in for 10 minutes. And at 12:05, he went back out because
the next day.
Yeah, it's the next day. You didn't tell me I had to stay in. You just told me I had to be in.
That's
and I was like, oh, geez, my brother. You know, and I mean, I was going to say, you know, I mean, if you were, my sister and I were very disciplined, right? So we made the curfew, things of that nature. We did what we had to do. You know, we'd stay in until the next morning, 6, 7 o'clock. We had to go out to work or do whatever. But my brother, on the other hand, was determined to do whatever he was going to do. And as my sister says, I don't know how we all grew up in the same household. So
well, Stone and I would have probably been running the same streets together, because I'm just saying, that was, I mean, there've been, I can't tell you how many times, that been, I won't, a lot of stories I don't tell because they involve people that I love and care about. And I feel like it's not my place to tell their stories. So it usually make it anonymous, about these stories, but places and times where, guns were always a part of the story.
Right.
Always. You know what I mean? And how many times guns were drawn, guns were shot, people almost killed. I mean, it's just, again, it's foreign. And so we're reading this as though this is like happening in Chestnut Hill.
Right.
And I mean, I just say it's very complicated. It's very painful. But I guess what sent me over this morning, honestly, Royster, was kind of the calls from progressive people who I respect a lot, who are like immediately going for the throat of the mayor. And I'm like,
I don't understand. In this particular circumstance, they probably wanted her to release the footage right away. I mean, look, in this particular circumstance, after the Laquan McDonald shooting, there was a law passed because Rahm Emanuel held on to that tape for over a year before he released it, right? Mm-hmm. And part of the reason he held on to the tape was that he knew if he released the tape, he was not going to get reelected.
Yeah, well, you saw the tape, right?
Yes, absolutely. So in the particular Laurie Lightfoot's case, I mean, there's other things outside of this that are going on, but there's a law that was passed after Laquan McDonald was killed that says that in Chicago, the video has to be released within 60 days. This is well within the 60 days. They wanted to put together the video in full, so they got all the 17 body cams, they got the 4 third-party cams, they got all the information, the spot shotter, the spot shoot, whatever it is.
Shot spotter.
Yeah, Shot Spotter, they got that all together, so they were able to tell a cohesive story. They released the information. They put the police officer out on leave. Mayor Lightfoot had a press conference and spoke about this. Now, the issue with Mayor Lightfoot has absolutely more to do with, there was another shooting before Rahm Emanuel left office, that the information was not forthcoming outside of Laquan McDonald. There was another one, and they said they blamed her for not releasing the information earlier, but the new law had not gone into effect yet. The other reason they're upset with her is that the city of Chicago got, several hundred millions of dollars from COVID relief that she spent on police overtime instead of put it towards housing and other, projects that would have really helped impacted people. And so there's a belief that she does a lot to protect the police. But in this particular circumstance, I actually don't see her protecting the police at all. I think she tried to put together, her team tried to put together a very accurate story, paint an accurate picture, spoke the truth about what happened in this particular moment. And she has asked people while the investigation is ongoing, she's not making a comment for or against, she just said it was tragic, that they are, she's asking people to stay calm until they can finally get to the bottom of a full report of this particular circumstance. But, I think in many cases, this is also being compared to Devontae's killing in Brooklyn Center, where the police chief, resigned, the officer resigned, the head of public safety, the mayor, not the mayor, the city manager was fired. And all this. And I have to be honest, the city manager was fired for saying something stupid, but I don't know, the officer needed to go. If you're 26 years and you can't tell the difference between a taser and a handgun, that's a problem, because they look and feel very different. The police chief, I don't know why the police chief resigned. I think the police chief just didn't want the headache. And so there's a lot going on in that particular circumstance. And I'm sure people are excited, like, oh, look at all these people quitting. Well, that's not always a solution either, because you don't know who's coming in behind them. So,
right.
It could be worse. And if it's policing out there, it's very much could be worse. So, I think we just have to be sometimes cautious about these things.
Right, absolutely. And so, listen, there again, this is such a tragedy on so many levels. And like I said, again, it's just, there's no upside to this story at all. And I just have to believe that even the person who shot and killed him has got to just be, you kill a 13-year-old is just, oh my God, to kill anybody, something that you don't easily, shake off. But Deborah, Robinson, Tawanda, Dr. Tyler was thugged out. Well, that's one way of talking about it. Yeah.
Now, see, y'all need to see him on the set. This man has much swagger on the set.
I don't know what you're talking about. So, I mean, it's.
I'm talking about, we hanging out, you hanging out with the clubs, stuff like that. You got much swagger, bro. You got a lot of swagger. That's what I'm saying. I know that's
that is
swagger, but you got swagger.
That is grace. Well, so you brought up Minnesota, talking about Brooklyn Center, but before we go to break, the Derek Chauvin trial, everybody's rested their cases, and they came dangerously close yesterday to, a mistrial.
Yeah.
Were you following any of that yesterday? I know it was a lot of moving parts.
There was an issue about the carbon monoxide testing, and the prosecution wanted to bring back a rebuttal witness, but the defense said, you can't do that because you're going to wind up reintroducing information, and you had the information prior, and you chose not to talk about it. We decided to talk about it, and so that is part of what was happening. So they brought the witness back, but they had to be very careful about how they asked questions. The judge ruled that they could not ask questions about things regarding this that were not asked previously. So it became a real big deal to try to figure out. I mean, then if they asked the witness a couple of questions. He really couldn't testify to much anything, and then that was the end of it.
Well, they were trying to discredit the witness who came in to talk about it. Could have been, he introduced doubt, which is what he's supposed to do as a defense witness, that, poke holes in the prosecution case. And, well, it could have been, carbon monoxide from the car. Now, they actually had the test that proved that it was not carbon monoxide, that there was not enough in George Floyd's blood to have killed him. They didn't introduce that when they had a chance, knowing the judge was right, by the way. He kind of took them to the woodshed, the prosecution, who's done a fantastic job up till now. Right. But he said, first of all, y'all knew this. They basically telegraphed their punch months ago when they told you they were going to be talking about the carbon monoxide. You chose not to introduce it, and now you want to bring it in. Now, here's the thing. These jurors are not sequestered.
Right.
So ain't no way in the world somebody in their family has not told them, I ain't supposed to tell you this, but he could not have possibly died of CO2. I mean, so it could have been just simply that. They're like, all right, y'all, we won't introduce it, but they got the judge to actually even say it. And, I mean, I just think that at this point, I don't know, it just still seems so overwhelming. But you got to be careful when they bring an expert in who has a British accent. Because, if you're a white guy with a British accent, we believe everything you say.
Right. Well, the
chap was bloody under the car. It could have been the bloody CO2 or the carbon. But anyway, they'll make their final arguments on Monday, and so we should have a verdict by sometime next week. Philadelphia is bracing, other cities are bracing, and we're all praying that justice will be done for George Floyd and that Derek Chauvin will be found guilty, as I think the circumstances warrant and the prosecution has proved. It's 6:41 in the morning. Got to take a quick break. We'll be right back on the other side with some good news. Talk about Morris Brown College and reparations bill in the House.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations, because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
Hi, this is Councilmember Derek Green with new information about COVID vaccines. Soon, all Philadelphians over the age of 16 will be eligible for vaccination. However, you must be registered with the city to get vaccinated. Register today at phila.gov and fill out the vaccine interest form or email covid@phila.gov. If you can't complete the form, call 311 to get registered. Your information is confidential. We all want a healthier, better Philadelphia. Get registered today.
If
If you're feeling down or feeling blue and want someone to help you process it all, let's talk with Yolanda. She's not only a social media motivational speaker, she's a psychotherapist by trade and certified in prolonged exposure therapy for PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. If you need counseling or seeking a life coach, contact Yolanda Novoa, 267-574-4632. Let's talk with Yolanda. She can be seen on Facebook and YouTube.
Hey WURD family, have you heard of the new Go to Know campaign? If not, here is the deal. WURD Radio has partnered with the Colorectal Cancer Alliance, Penn Medicine, LabCorp, and the Independence Blue Cross Foundation to present the Go to Know Fit Kit Screening Campaign. The Go to Know campaign is an at-home screening test for colon cancer. Yup, you heard me right. You can take your own stool sample and mail it back for testing. Did you know colon cancer, if caught early, is 100% preventable? African Americans are 20% more likely to get colon cancer and about 40% more likely to die from it than most other groups. Plus, it is recommended you get screened if you are 45 years of age or older. So for the next 6 months, you can go to wordradio.com and click on the Go to Know banner for your free at-home screening test. It's that simple. Again, just go to wordradio.com, click on the Go to Know banner, and request your free at-home screening test. That's it. Go to Know today.
The WURD Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax-Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio newsletter. Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by CVS. Looking at volume getting heavy 295 northbound of 42 right lane block there with emergency work. 55 north Deptford into 42 a busy ride now. Southbound 95 jam Cotman through Bridge. Again, Betsy Ross through Girard. Schuylkill Expressway westbound getting heavy in the area 202. Ongoing construction there. Just the right shoulder gets by the Boulevard. Route 1 southbound. Delays broad down to Fox also through construction. It pays to fill your prescriptions at CVS. In fact, you can earn up to $50 and extra bucks each year for just filling prescriptions. That's healthier made easier. Visit CVS today. Terms and conditions apply. Not available in all states. See cvs.com/RX rewards or the pharmacy for details. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a WURD weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
A cold wind blowing this morning and a blustery day ahead. Skies are clear to start with. We'll get some sunshine, start the warming process to near 50 by lunchtime. But as the morning goes on, we'll see more clouds, and there's a chance we'll see some scattered showers during the day today. A mostly cloudy afternoon, a high of 55. Clouds break overnight tonight, down to 43 Saturday morning. A beautiful day Saturday with a high of 60 and lots of sunshine. Partly sunny Sunday, a bit warmer, 65 after a morning low of 44. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour with Mark Kelly Tyler, Dwayne David Royster. WURD Radio, in partnership with the Colorectal Cancer Alliance, Independence Blue Cross Foundation, Penn Medicine, and LabCorp, have teamed up to launch Go to Know. Go to Know is a new public health campaign to reduce colorectal cancer in the black community. Request your free, easy, at-home colorectal cancer screening test called a FIT kit. The FIT kit is designed to provide early detection of colorectal cancer. The FIT test doesn't require any fasting or colon cleanses, and it can be done in a matter of minutes. Most importantly, you'll learn how to make sure you and your family members can stay well and live a long, healthy life. Go to wordradio.com and click on the Go to Know banner or call 1-877-422-2030 to learn how you can get your free at-home FIT kit testing screening test. So please, family, go get tested. It's easy, it's quick, and you will be able to turn it around quickly and find out your results so that you can take care of your health and that of your family.
Yes, sir. So, hey, two very interesting stories here to try to end out this week. A little bit on a positive note. Somebody in Virginia owes me some money.
What happened?
What you mean? What happened?
Why do they owe you money?
Slavery.
Oh, you try to get your reparations in?
The Atkins family. If you know any Virginians named Atkins, tell them I'm looking for them because they owe me some money. It's long overdue. I'm gonna be like my man in Barbershop when they were carrying that ATM and he dropped it and he started chasing him. He said, "What are you doing?" He said he owed me $5. Don't nobody do that with my money. Yeah, from the Atkins plantation, because Anderson and Mary, who were both mulattoes, are part of my line. Those are my great grandparents that make up one part of that of the family line, and they moved from Virginia to Arkansas because they wanted to get as far away from Virginia as they could at the end of the Civil War.
Okay.
And their daughter married the daughter of the other half of the ancestor family that come from Ohio and Pennsylvania. Yeah. And thanks to the work of Congress, Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, especially of Texas, she is advancing this bill to set up a commission for the study of reparations, to deal with the harm that slavery has done, to make possible recommendations. It's come out of committee, but it would still need a vote on the floor, and then it would need to go to the Senate and get 60 votes. So I'm going to let you now pour rain on my dream. Go right ahead. Tell me why.
I mean, actually, it will pass the House, no doubt about it. I mean, it could potentially pass the House if they don't have the filibuster. I mean, pass the Senate without the filibuster. I think that the challenge here is it's only a study, right? It's not reparations itself. It's a study about reparations. Now, let me just say, H.R. 40, and there's a reason it's introduced every session of Congress. And it's H.R. 40 because 40 represents 40 acres and a mule, right? So they introduced this particular one as H.R. 40 every year. Sheila Jackson Lee represented it. Elijah Cummings used to introduce it for years prior to that, who was the congressman from the Baltimore area in Maryland. And so this is about, getting reparations for African Americans. Now, it's finally getting some traction because of the racialized moment that we're in. The Democrats are supporting it, although not all Democrats are supporting it. And but there's enough that we'll be able to, win. And it is now it will pass. It came out of committee. It will now go before the whole House. It will pass there. It will head over to the Senate. Now, the Senate's the problem because Joe Manchin, I'm just going to call him Joe the Racist Manchin, does not, cause look, man, he's fighting against the voting rights piece. He's fighting against, it's all kinds of stuff. Like everything that he really doesn't want to happen has something to do with black people. So, William Byrd, who was the Senator Byrd, whose seat he took, was actually a vehement racist until his latter days, and then he changed back over later on. So,
that's the one that looked like the Emperor on Star Wars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Byrd, he was actually the longest living, until Strom Thurmond took his place, one of the longest living senators, active senators in the Senate. So he was from West Virginia, was a vehement racist throughout the 60s and the 70s, in the 80s, actually began to switch over in the 90s, and, and shortly, after that, he was gone. So he died. So, and his first name might not have been William, but it was Byrd. So anyway, Joe Manchin is kind of like, I don't know, picking up his early days of his actions and activities. But this is only a study. And I don't think it can hurt to have a study. We could just have it done. It still has to go back through if there's going to be any recommendations for reparations. So we'll have to see what happens.
So can I just read? So Reverend Naomi Washington Lee Park's comment says, "This is like some kind of congressional anti-racist reading list. I'm so over white folks feigning ignorance. You can't study your way to righteousness."
Well, Reverend Washington Lee Park. Yes. Well spoken. I mean, I got to give you credit. That was very well spoken.
But wait a minute. And the crazy part is, it was Robert Byrd. Thanks, Arun. It was, Senator Robert Byrd. But the thing is, they want to, you can't even get consensus to develop a study. I mean, some of them are so fearful of their voters and probably hold the same views themselves, are so racist that they won't even pass a commission to offer a study that will simply make recommendations that they will eventually vote down anyway if it got anything to do with giving black folk money. I mean, this is unbelievable. Remember, people, the slave owners were given reparations for their land and their loss of property. That's our ancestors. They were paid and they were made whole, but somehow paying the people who did the work is objectionable.
Let me just say this. Today is Emancipation Day in Washington, D.C., because the slaves in Washington, D.C. actually freed before the Emancipation Proclamation went into place, because there was a lot of pressure on Lincoln to do something about D.C. So I'm actually speaking at a rally today in Washington, D.C. at the National City Christian Church with a bunch of other faith leaders about D.C. statehood, right? But here's the interesting thing about Emancipation Day. When they released the slaves in Emancipation Day, they paid the owners $300 for the slaves. Every owner got $300 for the slaves that they were losing in that particular moment. But the slaves, they claim the slaves got something, but nobody knows what the slaves got other than freedom. And it was like, well, you're continuing to create this vast gulf between the two by continuing to support the slave owners. And now we have a situation where D.C., which has taxation without representation, which is what the American colonists went to war with England over. You have a black city that has no power to be able to speak into the federal government that sits in its town. That's deeply problematic.
Well, don't worry. Once D.C. is majority white and it tips majority white, they will get statehood.
Absolutely. I'm going to say that too.
So don't worry, D.C. statehood is coming. All right. Hey, look, I know we got to go, but shout out to Morris Brown College, the first HBCU to get their accreditation back after losing it for more than 20 years. Their president is incredible. Met that guy last year during the Georgia runoff. And the chair of the board is none other than Bishop Reginald T. Jackson, the one who's leading the fight against the voter suppression down there. Congratulations to one of our sister institutions. Couldn't be more proud of you. That's a great AME school.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to the Power Hour. We deeply appreciate everybody that's checking us out on the air, through the app, Facebook, YouTube, by whatever means that you manage to listen to us, whether it's Morse code or whatever you're doing. We appreciate it. We'll be back here on Monday morning from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to bring you the latest in news happenings around Philadelphia and, of course, our opinion. Stay tuned now for Wake Up with Word with Solomon Jones. Hey, shout out to Kawesa. Thank you for holding the boards down today. We appreciate you. Thank you, Dr. Tyler, everybody that commented on today. And listen, family, do us a favor. Go out, change the damn world, because if you don't, nobody else will. Peace.